Alright, we're on to the Dark Ages set now, and I have 5-2 on a board with Urchin on it, which is usually not good. And on further inspection, it really seems like you want to thin, and well, there's two ways, well, three ways really. There's the Mercenary, there's Counterfeit, and there's Count as well. Um, why do you want to thin? Well, you can probably counterfeit spoils with Marauder or use a Death Guard. There's also Knights if you feel you can wreck your opponent's deck, you could pursue those. However, there are fortresses which defend very nicely against the knights. So 5-2 here, I have the option of Counterfeit, Michael, or something cheaper. I could just go for the Marauder. And I don't really like the choice I made. Even at the time of buying it, I ended up choosing the Count. Why? Well, I wanted to trash quickly. I know Count is not good against discard attacks, and my opponent is probably going to pick up a pair of Urchins. I still went for it. And actually thinking about it now, I feel like maybe Michael or even Counterfeit would be better. Michael could potentially trash one of my opponent's Urchins, especially given that I had first player. But yeah, I decided to go for the Count and, you know, tried to make use of the short-term advantage. Well, the short-term effect. What I'm trying to say is that I was trying to hopefully get the Count on turns where he wouldn't be reducing my hand size, which he won't be doing every turn at the beginning. Unfortunately, he hits me here with the Urchin, and even more unfortunately, he collides with his other Urchin and picks up a Mercenary. So still, I don't have another Urchin, I believe, so there's no way for me to get a Mercenary. But I have trashed what, about half of the starting cards so far, so that is pretty good for me, I think. At least being able to trash that much. So I mean, I don't know, you can make up your own mind about whether or not the Count was worth it. Had I joined the Count here, I think it would have definitely been worth it. Getting rid of these 4 coppers, that have been excellent. But I don't see it, and I pick up on Marauder, which is another dubious buy, because the Ruins will just give his Mercenary more reason to attack me. But I mean, that isn't so much of an issue here, because what you can do is buy a lot of fortresses and then have your Mercenary trash those for the attack. So when he attacks me with the Mercenary, I'm going to use the Count for money, and I pick up a fortress of my own here. I believe now I do have the 2 attacks, yeah, the Urchin and the Marauder, so I will be able to get my Mercenary at this point. My opponent has 2 by now, which is pretty good, especially given that you have the fortresses around to trash, and he gets up to 6 here, which is excellent. You really want that Hunting Grounds. That Hunting Grounds can really make your turn sing. So he gets up to the Hunting Grounds. He's looking way ahead at this point. I play my Marauder and get a Mercenary, and I'll pick up a Vagrant along the way here. I mean, the Vagrant doesn't do much right now, and maybe actually in face of these discard attacks I probably shouldn't even buy the Vagrant, but yeah, I do have the Vagrant. 5 for my opponent is another fortress, and I'm gonna pick up a fortress here after top decking my one here, because there's very little chance that I would see anything to pair it with, and I'm being relentlessly attacked here with this Mercenary. Absolutely brutal. And here even 2 comes out, getting my opponent quite a bit of money, and their deck is super thin at this point, drawing everything with ease. So I'm very much in the back here, very much. I mean, if my opponent missed Urchin colliding on the first shuffle, that would have been nice, it would have been welcome, but like I said, I don't really know if Count was the best choice. I mean, if I had an opportunity to change it, I probably would try Michael, because Michael also forces discard, right? And I don't know, I mean, I don't know, it's tough to say. Anyways, let's talk about what we have in front of us, right? So more mercenary attack here. Hunting grounds comes out and my opponent's drawing everything. So now it's time for him to start adding more payload to his deck, right? So he's getting $4 off the mercenary. I believe he has a counterfeit now, which is excellent. So he could consider a marauder or a death card. He goes for a fortress. Death card will also be happy with the fortress, endless source of things to trash. And he does pick up the death card here. So now I trash the marauder, one to trash that copper, and also the marauder does very very little for me at this point. I also bought it because it would give me spoils and it would help me to get to 6 for the hunting grounds, which is what I want. So I have these spoils in my deck, so I probably will be okay here. Finally a stally turn for my opponent, just playing a mercenary. So maybe if this turn is decent, but it can't be decent because I don't have any draw in my deck, I'll have some opportunity to make some ground on my opponent. So here I am going to be able to get to my hunting grounds because I will put the copper on top of my deck, which isn't great, but I get to get up to 6 and buy hunting grounds, and that should help a lot. Like even if I'm attacked now, I should be able to draw through a lot of my deck. And luckily the hunting ground shows up immediately, so that's quite good. That is quite good. So now my opponent has what? This is up to 12 or 13 and 2 buys here. So he could go for like province and fortress, but instead goes for a fortress and I believe another counterfeit, right? So getting the plus buys for some flexibility in what to do here. And it looks like this turn is going to be good for me. I don't have a counterfeit yet and I really should get on that. So here I am going to be able to draw my entire deck. I will exchange this urchin for a mercenary. Like I said, with the fortresses around, they are quite good cards, quite good. And 8 and just the 1 buy here. The knights at this point don't really affect my opponent. I could have picked up a counterfeit, but I want the fortress. If my opponent takes all the fortresses, then he's just gonna have so much power, and then I won't be doing anything meaningful for the rest of the game, I think. So next turn, after he picks up the last fortress, I'll probably get a counterfeit, and then start to see what I could do from there. 13 and 3 buys for my opponent, so they pick up the last fortress and get another hunting grounds with it. I had an opportunity to buy a storeroom early in the game, but I didn't do it, and I really regret it now because at least I could have had a plus buy at this point. Right, so here I'm able to trash, and now my deck is under control, right? But I just don't have as much money as my opponent, so I need to try to rectify that. So going to top deck the fortress here, I don't need it right now. And 7 and no monies, and I buy the death card. I know I said I wanted the counterfeit for the plus buy, but I chose the death card instead, and look at what I have. I picked up a ruined market off of it, so I was thrilled about that. Absolutely thrilled. I have a plus buy now, which is excellent. Excellent news for me. Excellent news for me. So more same turn for my opponent, right? So they haven't actually increased their payload. They just got more stable lasting. So perhaps now they should increase their payload. You know, probably pick up I don't know, a marauder, a gold. Maybe look for a knight or two. I'm not sure, but hunting grounds and another death card for my opponent. So yeah, the death card is definitely payload. But they just have the 1 action remaining, I believe, so that should be the extent of their deck at this point. So I get rid of this Vagrant here because I wasn't sure if I'd find something to trash if I played that. Like if I found my hunting grounds, I really didn't want to trash that, but I'm much more comfortable trashing the Vagrant. Still able to attack my opponent, of course, which is excellent. And now I'm starting to run out of actions here, so I am going to play this count, gain a copper, draw said copper, and then use the death card on the abandoned mine. and play my plus buy there. So I have 11 and 2 buys, which is not far off from my opponent. I pick up a counterfeit now and another hunting grounds. Hopefully the counterfeit will catch this copper that the count gains, and I'll get $3 that way. So my opponent here now, actually, much to my surprise, has a stall turn. Doesn't do anything except buy the last fortress. Now what this actually opens up is a 3 pile, because there are 2 ruins left, and well, there's all the estates. So the 3 pile, in my mind, also wasn't attacked by mercenary or even urchin. The 3 pile in my mind is, if I can get 8 money and 3 buys, I have the 3 buys in my deck, I can end the game if I trash my hunting grounds and gain estates off of it. And at this point, I feel like I should go for it, because my deck is a little bit worse. My opponent is definitely not going to stall next turn, and his deck is better in the long game. So I thought I have an opportunity now, let me try to go for it. So it means I can't play any of my hunting grounds. I need to trash them with the mercenary, and unfortunately I didn't get the correct draw, right? So I would have liked to see perhaps I don't know, the copper, for example, here instead of this ruin market. I would have trashed hunting grounds, copper, gone forward. That would have been 2 extra money, and if I drew into the count, that's 3 extra money, and I had the counterfeit, so I'd have had to draw into count plus the ruin market, play count, play ruin market, and then I would have had 8 and 3 buys. So I needed the cards to come in a very, very specific order, but it didn't do so. So I fall short in my attempt to end the game here, but I felt like that was my best shot, and it would have been my best shot if the game went on for longer. So my opponent isn't going to stall, and is actually this is funny, he just empties the piles, but he forgets to buy points to overtake my score. We talked about it after, and I gave him the win because it's just something silly, and he definitely had the money, right? He could have just counterfeited his silvers and picked up enough money. So I agreed to give him, well, we agreed that he would take the win for this, and it moves us into a game 7. So thanks for watching, see you there.